You're listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to our Front Porch. 1-402-791-1811 is our message line number. You can reach us on the web at www.thefrontporchshow.com. You are listening to the most entertaining and enlightening show on the interwebs. And you are live tonight with Tombstone and me, Mathis. Unfortunately, Jeff, I thought Jeff was going to join us tonight, to tell you the truth, Tombstone. We heard from him earlier in the week. He said he was going to be around.
He is at an undisclosed location in the Midwest.
But the irony is...
It's a little bit too undisclosed, and we can't get to him.
The last time I heard from him today, he reported that he was within 2.5 hours of my location, but yet could not make it. That greatly troubles me. It makes me wonder what the...
I feel like we're just not a priority for Jeff.
Well, I'm wondering...
I feel like all he cares about is making money.
I'm wondering what the alphabet organizations have put him up to bring him so close to me. In fact, I'm slightly concerned after our talk last week about the geostationary satellite sitting over my house.
I missed this conversation. Can you give me a brief recap? Give me a brief recap.
We may have mentioned that there might be a geostationary satellite over my house. Because
is this like that scene from National Treasure? We've probably got our own satellite by now.
Right.
Which, okay, can we just take a moment and appreciate how awesome that movie is?
I love it.
When's the last time you saw it? I feel like it's been like 10 years since I've seen it. But
no, I saw it probably 5 months ago. I watch it every once in a while.
You know what I just realized? That movie was made before smartphones.
Yes, it was
everywhere because they actually had to go look stuff up, and it was way more fun than just looking it up on a smartphone.
In a library,
for a theatrical, in a library,
right?
For theatrical devices, smartphones are completely useless.
Oh, no doubt,
I feel like it's gonna degrade the quality of storytelling in American film. But
the problem is we're getting to the point where kids see you pull out a book, in a long series of books, and they're like, "What is that?" Well, that's called an encyclopedia, son. I
will say I don't actually remember the last time I saw a physical encyclopedia outside of the college library.
So we had growing up, we had a Collier's Encyclopedia of the World or something like that.
I don't know if I've ever heard of Collier's.
It was one of those. I think my parents got it on one of those, mail order types things.
Right.
Circa 1989 or something. And I read through every single one of those ones.
Every single one. Way more.
A to Z. I was
such
a nerd.
Collier's Encyclopedia. Let's see. I'm doing what I hate in films. You can get a rare Collier Encyclopedia for $125 on eBay.
Really?
You can buy. I see them listed between $124 and $450.
So we had. Oh, let's see.
So was it? I mean, I feel like we always the one I used to see most commonly when I was a kid was World Book.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I think we had one of those at school.
And Britannia was like the gold standard, which I remember reading in like 2006 that Wikipedia had already surpassed the accuracy of Britannia by that time.
See, isn't that the crazy thing?
Yeah, but it makes kind of sense because Wikipedia is edited by fanatics.
Yes.
For good or for ill.
For good or for bad. I mean, I remember when we got rid of our Collier's encyclopedias. And the funny thing is I also remember, growing up, eventually finding out that the information was outdated or wrong or...
Right.
Especially when it came to geography. I mean, geography changes so frequently nowadays.
So because everybody's shooting all the time.
Right.
But yeah, the encyclopedia it was an imperfect resource, but it was the only thing that it's the only way to aggregate that much information in one place.
Right. I mean, we didn't have the internet. I mean, see, here's the thing.
Let me ask you this. When is the last time you actually read something in an encyclopedia?
In an encyclopedia, it was high school. So college.
I think it would have been high school for me.
College, remember, they wouldn't let us reference an encyclopedia for our research papers in college.
Now, I had the best of both worlds. When I was growing up, in 1999, we got a copy of the World Book on CD.
Right.
So it had pictures and sound clips and movie clips and all this stuff. So, and of course you could search the whole thing. Everything was hyperlinked, so you could go from place to place to place to place. It was pretty cool.
Right. No, I remember it must have been World Book as well, because I remember getting that as well. It was amazing. What a resource.
Yeah, it was great. I used it. I remember using it to research the French Revolution because I read a paper on the French Revolution when I was like 14. And I just paraphrased the whole article.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Was that the French Revolution?
That was Marie Antoinette. Yeah, right. Before she lost her head.
Before she met her fate at the guillotine.
Which that cake that she was referencing is not what we think of as cake.
What was she referencing?
It's like she was referencing like an ash cake, which would have been like the staple of like poor people bread. That's all it is.
Man.
It's like a very basic cornmeal bread, if I remember correctly.
So she was being a basic, you know what?
She was being a basic Becky, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was still not a very smart thing to say, because obviously it still enraged the French. What is that face for?
You.
What did I say?
Oh, just continue. You're just. I'll edit it out in post. It's okay.
What did I say?
It's okay. Just continue. It's all good. No, don't worry about it. Continue. Tell me about the French Revolution.
Anyways, it wasn't they still didn't have any food. Whether they had cornmeal or not, they still didn't have any food.
Right.
So how did we get off on that? But you could learn all of that from a World Book Encyclopedia on CD in 2002. You could still do that. It was still very useful.
And the funny thing is now we can go to Wikipedia and learn so much more about that. Let me tell you something.
I would actually like to have something like that for my kids, because it's an enclosed information ecosystem, and I can give it to them and not really worry about what they're going to get into.
Right. Oh,
when they're 12 or 13 or whatever.
The rabbit hole of Wikipedia.
You can't turn a kid loose on Wikipedia. You just can't do it.
No.
So
do they allow you to censor it? Seriously?
I have no idea. I've never looked.
Because that would be $1 million question. Like, can you, like, is Wikipedia?
Hang on, I'm looking up Wikipedia for kids.
I'm super curious.
I'm sure there is a.
So yeah, I mean, it says that there's a safe wiki for kids.
Yeah,
which we found that by going to Google.
Google, which is definitely not safe for kids. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look up how. I'm sure school systems have a way to filter Wikipedia results. I would just have to look up how it's done, and it may just be maybe keyword. I don't know.
See, I mean, for most kids, I wouldn't be concerned about them going to Wikipedia. It's the issue, and searching for something on Wikipedia. The issue is that rabbit hole that you might fall down into.
Yeah,
I mean, and because it just goes so deep, and you just don't need that.
So, speaking of rabbit holes, the Front Porch Show is the ultimate rabbit hole. So, I hope that if you are listening to us on your commute, or when you should be listening to your kids or your wife, then it's entertaining. And we are going to go many, many places in this episode.
Through that.
So hang on for the ride. We'll be right back.
We got topics about Aunt Becky. We got topics about pigs, zombie pigs, Tombstone. We've got a German Nazi who was just arrested and convicted.
There's still Nazis?
There are.
My favorite word is the word.
We got an issue in America. Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
Back up, you creep.
And Bernie Sanders might run. Apparently, some folks really want to see a pot-smoking socialist in the White House. We could get a third Obama term after all.
Tombstone, what do you know about Beto O'Rourke? Is that even how you pronounce his name?
I can tell you what I don't know, which is the right way to pronounce his name. I can look it up, though.
I think it's O'Rourke.
We have Wikipedia.
Well,
I feel
Wikipedia...
like we should acknowledge Wikipedia at the beginning and end of every show because...
It does provide us a wealth of knowledge.
It would be very difficult to do the show without Wikipedia. It would be even more speculative than it already is, but I digress.
Well, yes.
So, no, I don't know how. I always thought when I read it, I want to say it's Beto because if it was, I would think if it was in Spanish, it would be a short E, not a long E like Beto. But I really don't know because he's not Hispanic. He's probably whiter than I am. And he's also a furry.
Oh, hold on.
Hey there, this is Beto O'Rourke. Hey there, this is Beto O'Rourke. Hey there.
Okay, so it's Beto O'Rourke.
Beto. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so he's running for president. He's from Texas, right? He's the guy who ran against Ted Cruz, was expected to win by a landslide, and then ended up eking through with a loss.
Who was expecting him to win by a landslide?
Well, the same people who expected Trump to lose by a landslide. So there you go.
So Nate Silver,
okay,
Brian Stelter,
okay.
Anyways,
right.
So he's a Democrat. He's having failed epically. I shouldn't say epically because he actually did give Ted a run for his money at the end of the day.
He did,
and I think there's actually something to be said for that. I think he was a good Democratic candidate to run in Texas. I think he's a terrible Democratic candidate to run on the presidential ticket. But,
I would agree.
I'm saying that because he stands in such sharp relief to my man Andrew Yang in that regard.
Oh my goodness!
So who is
Andrew Yang,
the only Democrat I've ever considered pulling the lever for in a presidential race? I have voted for Democrats. I have voted for Democrats for Senate before.
Yeah. Right. Good grief! I voted for Democrats before.
I voted against Lindsey Graham because he infuriates me so much. I'll tell you what though. So I know we've already rabbit trailed.
No, go ahead.
I'm actually developing an extremely, extremely grudging respect for Lindsey Graham because I feel like he's actually working out into some sort of bizarre anti-libertarian equilibrium where he's becoming more predictable over time. But I may, you know what? I may be deluding myself. This may be just because he's come around and started defending Trump. Sometimes, anyways. But he's also for the red flag laws in South Carolina, which is an absolute no-go for me. That's bad juju.
Those are real.
But the president seems to be in favor of red flag laws, which, I mean, it goes back to the whole thing with Hillary. It's like if we get Hillary, we know that nothing will happen because everybody will fight. But now that Trump is there, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, red flag laws are maybe not such a bad idea." It's like this. It's horse pucky. It's
same with the bump stock laws. Same with the.
So what? Yeah, exactly. All right, what were you going to tell me about Beto?
So Beto's been hitting the trail over in Iowa. You know, next door, Beto. What about this furry thing, Jeff or Tombstone?
There is a video out there of Beto playing guitar in his band wearing a rabbit suit.
I did see that.
Yes, that's where it comes from.
Wasn't that like before the furry thing though?
I'm not going to speculate on the nature of that.
And folks, you don't need to go search for furry. Please don't.
I can only report to you what I have seen in the ether of the interwebs. Right, exactly. So, but I can tell you that the Beto is a furry meme originated with a right wing Twitter account. It was not me, but I have tweeted it.
Gotcha.
At
So Beto,
furry.
Beto, you just love saying that, don't you? You really do. So Beto's over in Iowa. He's at the University of Iowa.
Yes, you were going to tell me an actual story.
So yeah, so there's a student in there by the name of Matthew Rowland, and this guy is in the bathroom and asks him, "How's it going?" And he said, "Good. How's it going?" And Rowland asked, "Are you here to see Beto?" And Beto said, "That's me." Apparently, this conversation struck the student so extravagantly that he was just super polite, really nice, which honestly doesn't surprise me. The guy's from Texas. People from Texas are nice.
I'm confused. Is there more to this story?
Not really. They took a selfie together in the bathroom.
So you're saying, okay. So the gist of this is that Mr. Rowland did not recognize the person who he came to see speak.
So this is basically one of those articles.
Presumably because he wasn't wearing a rabbit
costume. He's just such a normal guy.
But he wasn't wearing a fursuit.
No, he wasn't. Which is strangely appropriate to Tombstone because it is Easter.
That would be the easiest way for me to recognize him.
It's strangely appropriate that you keep talking about bunnies at Easter.
Oh goodness!
No, so I guess my point behind sharing the article is that they're trying to show this guy's like a normal man to the people, and I think I think they're aiming to get the votes in places like Iowa and Michigan and Wisconsin. And
is it too soon to revisit who we think is going to win the nomination?
No, why can't we make predictions about this every week?
Well, I guess we can. I don't want the audience to get bored. Maybe we should do every month.
As it sits right now. Of right now.
Yes.
Man. I have two possibilities.
I know who it's not going to be, and that's Tulsi Gabbard, because I have not even heard her name mentioned in the last 6 weeks.
I know.
That does not bode well.
I'm going to step out on a limb here, Tombstone. I keep calling you Jeff tonight. I don't know why. Names have not been my forte today.
I don't look anything like Jeff.
No. Jeff doesn't wear a Kim Jong-un haircut. Which your hair's not very short tonight, so that could be the confusion.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with Bernie.
Ooh. See, I don't know if I can actually. I mean, I don't think that's a bad guess. I mean, I didn't expect a bad guess from you being an astute student of politics. Tell me.
Yeah, right.
What? You are an astute student.
I am a student. I do watch things.
Well, tell me. Give me like 3 bullet points on why Bernie is it.
Okay, I think he's gotten to the point of it's his time. That's one of them.
I think it's very possible.
We haven't heard anything from anyone other than Beto over the last couple weeks. Like you've said, Elizabeth Warren has come to the forefront again because she's not going to get it because of her past indiscretions and lying.
Yeah.
Okay. Hillary's not running. It would not
surprise me
because of her past indiscretions and lying.
So that's actually interesting. You bring up that thing about Elizabeth Warren, because Andrew Yang said in his interview with Joe Rogan that he thinks, and I don't know if this is true or not, but he did say it. He thinks that, I promise not to quote Andrew Yang every time I get on this podcast. I do promise. At least I won't do it after the election. He said he thought the DNC was not running the election with as heavy of a hand. Which is interesting because that's this year, which is interesting because that's exactly how we got Trump for the Republican side. So, by having a complete and total free for all, it was basically he with the hardest nose wins, which, as you know, ended up being El Trumpo.
I honestly think Yang's got a good chance right now, as it stands right now.
I don't think so. I still don't think Yang has any kind of a shot.
I don't
even
know.
Close. I would put Yang's chances at like 10%.
I think Bernie's got a better chance than Yang, but
I would put Bernie's chances closer to like 40%.
Who do you think is number one right now on the Democratic side?
So I'm still leaning toward Kamala Harris, but she keeps making unforced errors.
She keeps saying really dumb stuff.
She keeps saying really dumb stuff, and she keeps trying to run on being a hip person, when she really needs to be running on being a law and order person, which is what she actually is.
But then again,
but this is where
Trump Twitter.
What about it?
Dumb stuff gets said all the time.
Yeah, but Democrats, I mean, it's Kamala Harris. She's not. There's a difference between. I'm going to get in trouble saying this. Not trouble, but there's a difference between making repeated unforced errors and ignoring them, and making repeated unforced errors and trying to fix them, or your audience feels they need to be fixed.
I understand that.
Trump just blows past whatever he says. Like, he never looks back. Like, if he was driving a 59 Thunderbird down the highway, painted red because MAGA, he would have all the rear view mirrors ripped off the car. He is only looking over that 19-foot long hood to the political highway ahead, and the bumper sticker "Run Hillary Run" is on the front of the car. That's all. The man never looks in the rearview mirror. He's always looking ahead.
You're right.
Anyways, so Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, obviously I still like him a lot. But I honestly, Bernie seems to be closer to what the ideological core of the party is right now.
Yes. Which is
not
very
necessarily. Concerning. Yeah. Now, that's not the Democratic Party is obviously not monolithic, because I don't think Bernie is going to make the hardcore social justice people happy at all. But I think they will go along to get along.
Well, no, because Bernie has already said that reparations would be stupid.
Yeah.
Which he's right. One of the few things I agree with Bernie on.
I saw a devilishly clever tweet today. Can I repeat it?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll leave it to you to tell me why it's so devilishly clever.
Okay.
We can have reparations, but only if verified blood descendants of slave owners pay reparations.
Yeah. No, that's
no. Do you know why that's tricky though?
That is very tricky.
You want to tell me why?
I'm going to suggest that it's going to bleed the Democratic Party dry from a monetary standpoint.
It's even more meta than that.
Is it?
Yeah, this is not a political tweet. This is just like a dark side cultural tweet.
Okay.
The dark side is lots and lots of black people are partially descended from white slave owners.
Yes, that is true.
Because that was in fact a very dark side of slavery.
Yes.
Anyways, but that strikes at the political core of the question is that it's basically completely impractical.
Right.
There's no real way to do this. Not maintain any kind of republic that we would recognize.
No.
So
no.
It's like there's just no way to do it.
No, It's
but please don't take that as a challenge, Democrats. We are not trying to throw you into that briar patch.
When we come back, let's go to Bernie's home state and talk about Middlebury College, liberal bastion in the town of, Middlebury.
It was not always a given that the United States and America would have a close relationship.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
It's Mr. McMillan. Would you like 30 seconds more?
Allow me to introduce myself. The rent's too damn high.
We head to Bernie's home state of Vermont.
Where the rent is too high.
Well, that was
especially in Middlebury.
Honestly, it really was part of the reason why we moved out of the state. It wasn't the rent, just the cost of living was way too high. All the Flatlanders moving up from the southern New England, turning it into a.
Can you explain
dump.
The implications of the word Flatlander for our audience, because they may not know?
Okay, so we lived in Vermont. Vermont was a place of hills, the Green Mountain State. And you had like New Hampshire had lots of mountains and stuff, but then you got the Flatlanders. The Flatlanders are like the Massachusetts.
This is a derogatory term.
Oh yes,
right?
very. You got the Flatlanders, which is like Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island.
These are people with more money than sense, typically.
Typically, it's the people who want to come in. They've got big ideas, and then they try to change everything, and they don't like the old hung-yop ways,
which they have succeeded in doing.
They have they've very much succeeded. They want to change the old Vermonty ways and turn it into a happy little horsey farm. And
you're actually describing South Carolina too, by the way.
Tombstone. It's happening everywhere.
Every time I turn around, there's a new horse stable.
I've got no problem with horse stable. So ironically,
it's not the horses that are the problem; it's the horse people.
After looking in, yes, there you go. After looking into the whole Bureau of Land Management, or Bureau of a couple months back, we talked about the horses that they sell for like free.
Yes,
for like $35. So I actually looked into that, and may end up in the next couple of years pursuing that. Strangely enough,
you're pursuing your own federal pony program.
I am going to pursue my own federal pony program. No, so Vermont was one of those places where you get all these people moving in and just think, okay, so I've talked about it before on the show that I don't think. Okay, how do I want to phrase this? I want to phrase
Carefully.
this in a careful way. Okay, it's the gentrification of Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where you get all these people moving in with more money than brains. Mm-hmm. They're spending tons of money on their houses, and all of a sudden, you've got a little farmstead that's worth $500,000, and then the house next door that the farmer's been living in for 150 years, his property value goes through the roof. Which gets me off into the whole conversation of gentrification. Do you know how to stop gentrification, Tombstone?
And also property taxes. The only way I know to stop gentrification is to fire off a round in your backyard every couple nights.
That is true. That is true. That will lower the property value. It's eliminating property taxes, Tombstone. You eliminate property taxes, you end gentrification.
Why is that?
Because grandma no longer has to fight to keep her home.
Oh, so people aren't as likely to sell out.
People won't sell out because and so in the end they may end up making more money, and eventually the town or suburbia or whatever you want to call it may become gentrified eventually.
Yeah. The
values may increase, but it's by the people's decision that it does. Not by a ton of rich people moving in and kicking out all the poor people. Anyways, a lot of that's happening in Vermont. Those of us who were working, 9-to-5 jobs can't afford to live there anymore. And so, Elizabeth Warren's whole, the two income trap, that's Vermont. Vermont, you cannot exist without two incomes. Out here in Nebraska, taxes are high. In fact, taxes are higher than Vermont. But because the cost of living is lower, you can survive as a one-income family.
That's interesting you bring that up because taxes are fairly high in South Carolina, but I've never really heard hardly anybody complain about it because overall cost of living is just pretty low.
Yeah, cost of living in Vermont was absolutely incredible. And so that brings me to Middlebury College. Middlebury College, is Middlebury College considered an Ivy League school? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is, but it's in that same neighborhood
vein of Ivy League schools. And so very posh, very, very posh college.
What was it? There's lobster for lunch there every day.
Oh, I don't know about that. That sounds like the pink sidewalks where we went to college.
I heard that. I feel like I heard that from our mutual acquaintance.
I
might be misremembering.
I don't know. I know a couple people who have been there for college, and I honestly don't remember that. Looking at the Wikipedia here, it was founded in 1800. It was actually, so get this, it was actually divinity school.
Yep. A lot of the schools founded in that time frame were in that same, it's kind of the same in the South.
It was the first American institution of higher education to bring a bachelor's degree to an African American. That was in 1823. Just a lot of great history there. But unfortunately, very much unfortunately, they have gone the way of most liberal arts schools and have embraced the liberal aspect. Very, 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 very much so. It is. I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest with you. It's just a fascinating place.
Remember Middlebury is where Charles Murray was physically assaulted last year sometime.
Well, right, and just a week ago,
nothing ever happened.
Just a week ago, students banded together and declared they weren't going to allow a Polish professor and statesman, Lagutko. I don't quite know how to pronounce his first name. Ryszard Lagutko. Why was he problematic? Why did they have issues with him? Because he's a Polish philosopher, and he is a believing Catholic, and he espouses the church doctrine and what they teach on homosexuality. And that means that he's a homophobe and can't be allowed on campus. I am so frustrated by administrations kowtowing to this baloney.
This is what happens when you've decided that speech is violence, then you have to react in a totalitarian fashion.
They called him a raging, bleeping homophobe. Fill that in with whatever word you want.
He doesn't sound like he's afraid of homophobes to me, or homosexuals to me.
No, he's not.
Oh, goodness.
But see, isn't that the thing? If you take any stand for anything, you're going to be torn apart. You're absolutely going to be torn apart, and it really, really, really frustrates me. They say apparently a professor was the one who was urging the students to be outraged.
Oh, right.
Of course,
no surprise there.
They caught it all on video because right now is the era of video. Just so frustrating. So also this week at Middlebury College, this is just the other day. And so question for you, Tim. So
yes.
We're kind of comparing and contrasting these two stories. They don't allow a Polish guy on campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of free speech. But now I'm going to come out on the other side of it and say, maybe what this college professor had to say probably wasn't a good thing to say.
Wasn't a smart thing to say.
Well, no, probably not. Probably not. Jeff Byers, chemistry professor at Middlebury College, has been placed on leave.
Okay, I just before you go any further, I just got to say, this is actually what he's about to. Oh man, I'm going to get myself in trouble. This is actually a very good word problem. It's just what the event that it's referencing is really terrible to contemplate. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so
there's nothing like a well-crafted word problem. This is I can't even say it's a well-crafted word problem, but
so yeah,
if the details were different, it would be a good word problem. Put it that way.
I'm not quite sure how to exactly.
I'll break it down. So the guy's a chemistry teacher, and he gave his students a word problem to solve for the amount of, I feel dirty just saying it.
Okay.
Solve for the amount of hydrogen cyanide you would use to kill people in a particular sized room, referencing
the Holocaust.
How people were gassed in the Holocaust. Yeah.
I have the word problem right here. It says hydrogen cyanide, HCN, is a poisonous gas which Nazi Germany used to horrific ends in the gas chambers during the Holocaust. The lethal dose for humans is approximately 300 milligrams of HCN gas per kilogram of air when inhaled. If the room measured blank feet, what mass of air would it have to be in grams if the density of air at blank room temperature is blank? Calculate the grams of HCN that it would take to give a lethal dose in the room above. So this is chemistry 103. This is freshman chemistry class.
Yes. Folks, this is not, just don't do it.
Why would you?
I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I think it references a disturbed mind. I don't even necessarily think that he should be fired for it.
I don't think so either. I don't think he should be fired, but having a stern talking to it, that may not be
it's weird and wrong.
That may not be. Oh, man.
I don't know.
So apparently, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why this has referenced Jeff Byers, because this other article here from the college is this other oh, I get it. Oh, that's crazy. So what happened? Apparently, Jeff Byers was the professor who actually asked the question. And the local Noodle, a satirical student newspaper, picked up on it and wrote a Onion style or Babylon Bee style article based on that. And that's what started the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So Byers is in trouble. Now, this is not the first time he's asked a question. Last year he administered.
I would hope not. He's a teacher. It's his job to ask questions.
Well, last year he referenced the Ku Klux Klan in a way that appeared to be humorous, but was gratuitous and offensive. He's apologized for his actions. He failed to his students. He said he failed his students and plans to spend the upcoming months reflecting on his actions as he's on leave with pay.
So he got what he wanted out of it.
Well, right. I mean,
oh goodness.
So do I have a double standard, Tombstone?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think he should. I don't think he should be suspended.
No, I don't either.
I'm with you. Like, absent a,
wasn't that part?
I don't think it is.
Like back in the day. Now, granted, not where we went to college, Tombstone. But in other colleges, wasn't that part of the college experience, being able to pick and choose the professor you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Like realizing that, oh, this guy's an absolute jerk.
Yes.
Let's not pick him.
Yes.
And so I think let the free market decide. If all of a sudden students aren't signing up for his classes, fire the guy.
Yeah, well, if he's got tenure, then you can't. It's really
there you go.
That's
there you go. There you go.
So, which I'm in favor of the tenure system because I
have mixed emotions on it, Tombstone. I really have mixed emotions.
It's not like it's a law. It's just an accepted way of doing things.
So the tenure system by which you speak is basically after a certain amount of time and accolades, a professor may get chosen to be a lifelong professor at said university or college without repercussion of firing, because he's earned the right to speak his mind or her mind.
Right. Yep.
And I don't know, man. I think that's another topic for another time, because the problem when I guess my thing is there's got to be clauses where you can fire people.
Right.
Like you got to be able to fire people.
But not for, I don't know. I don't know if this is usually something that comes into play for chemistry teachers. It's usually more literature and philosophy and so on.
You think so? Yeah, I guess. Although I don't know. I've seen it all across the board, though, Tombstone. I've seen math professors get tenured. Physics professors get tenured.
Well,
I mean, is it any different for chemistry?
I mean, I think on a certain level, though, it's also an incentive. If you want to attract good talent, then that's a thing you basically say, hey, if you want to mail it in after 10 years, then you can, but you have to stay for those 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
My guess is it will probably go away because the supply of professorial candidates is much higher now than it has been in years past. So for the next generation, you don't see that. You may not see that as much.
Yeah, the education system, man. It's I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there.
Leave it there.
Not worth going into.
They cut my beard and forced me to eat.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Who else in the level car say yeah?
Tombstone, I've got the meat sweats right now.
I can't help you with that one.
Let me describe to you, Tombstone, what I ate for lunch. It all started with a venison loin. Beautiful 18-inch long venison loin.
This is what you sent me the video of earlier.
I did. Did you watch the whole thing with the music?
I wasn't able to watch it with the music.
Okay, I'll send it to you later. We're gonna post this to the Facebook page. I think the listeners can benefit from it too. 18-inch venison loin. I then butterflied it, stuffed it with sautéed spinach and feta cheese, folded it back in on itself, wrapped it in bacon, and then trussed it. Tombstone, I smoked that sucker for about an hour and a half on the smoker.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely glorious.
I really need to come out and visit you sometime soon.
It was a mouth-watering experience that is nearly inexplicable. Explicable? Yeah, that's the word. Nailed it. Excellent after a long, hard weekend. Tombstone, I want to divert our attention back towards the tragedies of the Holocaust. We just got done talking about the professor at Middlebury College. I'm just losing my tongue tonight. Middlebury College asking the question on a test about the Holocaust and stuff like that. But we bounce over to Germany, where prosecutors have charged a 92-year-old former concentration camp guard as being an accessory to murder. Now, he is one of the last cases that will probably ever get tried. He was 17 years old when he began serving at the Soothof concentration camp near Gdansk or something like that.
You don't pronounce the G; it's just Donsk.
Oh, Donsk. Whatever.
It's long.
I'm getting glared at by Alyssa across the room.
It's Danzig.
Gotcha. Well, it's in Poland.
It's in Prussia. Used to be
present day
Prussia.
Poland.
Yes.
Okay. 17 years old when he was on duty at the Watchtower, and he is charged with aiding and abetting 5,230 cases of murder. He admitted to it during voluntary interrogations last year that he has seen a bunch of people being taken to the gas chamber to be murdered.
Yep.
What do you think, Tombstone?
I don't understand why they're charging him.
It
doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Is this a... I don't even know where to begin on this. Alyssa, grab the mic. Alyssa,
yeah,
we're calling Alyssa.
I definitely want to hear Alyssa's opinion on this.
We're calling Alyssa in here. Alyssa, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
So, you grew up in Germany,
right?
You experienced, you've visited the death camps as a youth.
Yeah.
We visited it on the day we got engaged.
Yeah.
What a joyous thought. It's a absolutely sobering place when you walk through these places. Like, it's why. I mean, growing up in Germany, you've got to have an idea of why are they charging these guys with this now?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was statute of limitations.
I don't think there is one.
I don't think there is one on murder.
Okay.
I don't even know. I mean, Alyssa, I don't even know if the German system has what we.
No, I don't.
The same
I don't know
thing we
either.
have a statute of limitations.
The second thing that came to mind was maybe with rise in neo-Nazis, they want to make a statement.
Possible.
Interesting. But see, I've heard them over the last 10 or 15 years going after these guys pretty hard, and charging them. But it's like, why 70 years after the fact? I mean, these guys have literally gone through a living hell living with what they've done.
So, Alyssa, not to minimize the horrific nature of what's being alleged here, but I mean, this guy has obviously lived with himself for better or for worse for the last 60, 65 years.
Right.
And, I think my guess is he is speaking correctly, because this all happened in, what did it happen? 1944? Does it say when it was?
It doesn't give an exact date.
Because it says 5,000. It says 5,000 people.
Yes,
I know.
It was the end.
So
it was the end of World War II, because another guy at the same camp got charged with 60,000.
So he was on duty. So he was on duty at this camp. So he was in a guard tower or something. So, I mean, most of these guys, I'm trying to think of how to say this. It is entirely possible, even though he didn't try to leave, he didn't really have a choice, because all military-aged males in Germany at that time were part of the military system in one way or another.
Take for instance Alyssa's great-grandfather.
Yes.
You want to share a little bit about him?
Yeah, he was primarily an engineer at first, but
because he was an architect, right?
I don't think he was an architect. He was an engineer of some sort. And he did not like what the party was doing, and they caught wind of so they sent him to the Eastern Front. We'll get rid of you that way.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting wounded there, and I'm trying to think exactly how it went. He didn't end up deserting, but I think the war ended before he was unhospitalized or something.
Right.
And then he did, find his way back to his family, and they, of course, had no clue if he was even alive.
Right. Because, and I mean, if you were in 1944 or 1945, if you're a 17-year-old German male who, especially, if you weren't fit to actually go to the front line,
which is what this guy had. Yeah.
Your options were very, very, very slim, because you couldn't just desert. I don't know. I didn't know.
But would it be any
during
worse?
The American Civil War.
I understand he's being charged because he witnessed.
Yeah.
He literally witnessed mass murder. Okay, I understand that. But if you're on the front lines, does that excuse you from war crimes?
Right. How different is that?
I don't know. I think from a purely practical standpoint, it's probably a lot easier to nail down. Like, probably the reason this guy has been charged is because they have some kind of documentation or or confession, because they reference his confession.
He did confess.
Putting him there.
His comment was, "What good would it have done for me to leave?"
Now, why now? Right. Which, I mean, again, doesn't necessarily make it right, but especially there in Danzig, that's like, you didn't have a lot of options, because there was one point they were actually totally surrounded by the Russians, and then the whole thing collapsed. But I don't know. I mean, everybody, I guess it's like to say everybody in the German system, everybody in the German military system was culpable.
Right.
So why has he been picked out now after 65 years?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's,
I don't know if I have a good answer. I don't know if I have a good answer to this. But I think they did reference in the article that, what was it? Like, time is running out to avenge the, So with only a handful of people involved in Nazi Germany's crimes still alive, all in extreme old age, prosecutors are racing against time to ensure that some justice is done by the victims.
So is that what this is about? Vengeance?
I mean, that's what
we're talking
Reuters says.
70 years later. 70 years later.
It does say justice, not vengeance, to be fair.
Yeah. I would need to I would like to look at the articles in German.
I understand, but it just doesn't make any sense 70 years later to me. And look, it was a tragedy. Every listener knows how we feel about the Holocaust. It was an absolute tragedy, and
tragedy is not really the word,
right?
Yeah,
it doesn't encompass.
I know what you mean.
The horrifying nature,
right? But
so if I could diverge just a little bit,
yeah,
Alyssa, we you and I had a very short conversation, I think at the very, very beginning of this podcast, about it was something about everybody is a bunch of people standing on a stage waving German flags, and then Angela Merkel waved them down. So it seems like Germans have a very uneasy relationship with their own nationalism, or whatever is left of it after the war.
Yeah.
And would you say that if you come across a German who's very nationalistic in some way, that's going to be like a heuristic for some kind of unhealthy racialist?
It's definitely
mindset.
Seen as unhealthy. I remember my mom telling me a story when we first moved over there, where she was talking to some lady randomly about, pride in country, and the lady was shocked. Like, she was like, "That's wrong. You cannot have pride in country." Like, that's...
Is this taught in the public school system?
No, and I'd say it's kind of on the way out. I feel like Germans are starting to get a little bit of pride of country back. For a long time, it was basically soccer was the only time you'd see a German flag flying. In the World Cup or whatever, European Cup. But I think it's slowly starting to come back a little bit, that Germans are capable of having pride in Germany's accomplishments that are not connected to World War II.
Right. I think as a Southerner, this is very interesting to me, because right now the South's reputation among a certain set is worse than it has ever been, because there's actually and again, this is something I've discovered in my Twitter travels, for better or for worse. There's a rising cadre of people who don't believe the South was ever sufficiently punished for the Civil War, and that's why all the statues have to be torn down and the flag has to be banned now. Yeah. And this kind of smacks that a little bit. Obviously, I mean, as bad as slavery was and the Civil War was, we never equate that to the Holocaust, which I think is correct. But the South had this benefit that, they were folded back into the country, and the warrior culture was folded back into the American military, and Southern men kept joining the United States Army, and then went west to fight the Indians, and then fought in the Spanish-American War and World War I, and so on. So it's like that aspect was reclaimed, I guess. And Germany has never had that. They've just been fighting a series of peacekeeping actions with the UN ever since 1945.
And Germany, Germans do very much like to keep the atrocities of World War II at the forefront. Mm-hmm. And they are, taught in schools, and we were required every year to visit, World War II sites and talk about the problems. So it is very much at the forefront of thought.
So this is, again, interesting because as far as I know, Japan does not have any equivalent to this. Japan still minimizes their maybe minimizes is not the right word, but they don't dwell upon their atrocities they committed in World War II.
Right.
In terms of human slavery and POW treatments and so on.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Interesting.
But I hope Germany can find a path forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think part of it is, fear. If you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
And that fear is part of the culture.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Germany will ever be what it was, but Germany, in 1945, as World War II, as awful as it was really just the tail end of like 70 straight years of fighting, right?
Oh yeah.
You had the Franco-Prussian Wars,
right?
You had World War I, then you had the Weimar, everything that came before the Weimar era, and then the Freikorps and the communist militias and all that stuff. So
yeah.
It's like it really never slowed down for any appreciable amount of time.
Right.
So
interesting.
But I remember reading an article of a guy, and he said his generation, which is two generations after World War II, is the first 2 consecutive generations that Germans had known peace. In like 200 years, something like that, 100 years, which is kind of mind blowing for Americans to contemplate.
Can we really call it peace? I mean,
well,
I guess internal peace,
like the Roman man said, you create a desert and call it peace.
And there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was just scanning some German headlines, and there are a lot relating to neo-Nazis. Like, it is something that they very much.
There's a lot going on. It's being exacerbated by different issues. And it's
definitely, I think, because that's in the forefront. Maybe that's part of the reason they wanted to, set this counterpoint.
Yeah. Well, Alyssa, thank you for contributing. Aaron, we need to have her on more often. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she is. I mean,
thank you.
I don't disagree.
I mean, you married me.
That's right. Married awesome. You're awesome.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
Space Force.
That's a really long intro.
That's a good speech.
There's a lot of Trump in that intro. Just saying.
Too much for you, Tombstone.
Hashtag MAGA.
So instead of going to space, I thought that would make an appropriate science update, Tombstone. Instead of going to space, we're going to stay here on Earth with our 4-legged friends. Which ones, you ask? The pigs.
I'm really disappointed by the zombie pigs headlines because it's not even close to reality, which I don't know why I'm disappointed because fake news is everywhere.
Yeah, it's not fake news though, Tombstone.
It's fake.
It's not fake. It's not fake. The headline reads,
I was promised zombie pigs. All I got was disembodied pig brains hooked up to a fancy machine to feed them fluids and see if they'll do something. That is not
so
zombies.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
The pigs are not walking yet, but they could be.
No.
Okay, so hold on. Let's dive into what happened here.
All right.
So Yale takes the brains of 32 dead pigs, right? They were slaughtered at a USDA slaughterhouse. The brains were removed. Were removed according to protocol. They got the Yale School of Medicine receives those brains, right? Literally hours after.
Yes. Which is probably that's like 2 lines in the article. That's probably a lot more work went into that than everything else.
Maybe. So what
somebody had to crack those pigs' heads open, get the brains without damaging them.
Yes.
Package them, put them on ice, put them in a van, drive them across town, and deliver them safely to the zombie lab at Yale School of Medicine.
So here's where it gets interesting, Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
They end up hooking it up to a machine, okay, called BrainX, which they got to come up with a better name for that.
I don't have one offhand.
I don't either, but they got to come up with a better name. So it's an artificial perfusion system. Basically, it takes over the functions normally regulated by the organ. Basically, it pumps in nutrients and oxygen into the brain, giving the cells the ability to begin normal functions.
I wonder if a video of this exists. I'm going to try and find one.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
The cells began consuming and metabolizing sugars.
Yep.
The brain's immune system also kicked back in. Neuron samples could also carry electrical signals. The brain even responded to drugs.
Fascinating.
Okay, so sure, I mean, can't really say zombie pigs, but
there are no videos of this on YouTube. I'm really disappointed.
That's because the pigs didn't get up and walk Tombstone.
I want to see the brains with all the tubes sticking in them. That's all I really care about.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it doesn't exist.
It is a shame. They really should have scientific articles with pictures.
I need a picture of the brain X.
So they kept...
even a picture would be fine. I'm trying to find one. Hang on.
They kept the brains alive for 36 hours.
Which is impressive.
It is.
I assume someone was sitting next to them with a shotgun to make sure they didn't start
I would hope so.
Zombie things.
I absolutely would hope so. They're theorizing that this could lead to new developments and treatments for brain injuries, Alzheimer's, Huntington's, and neurodegenerative.
I didn't find a picture, but I did find a diagram of how it works.
Oh, me too.
It's very sciencey looking. I'll send it. I'll send you a link.
It looks cool. Looks pretty cool. It's too hard to describe on the air.
It's a lot of valves and tubes and very sciencey looking things. You know how it is.
Same thing. Solutions. I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. We'll post this up on the website because we can. And it's
our
awesome.
gentle readers will appreciate this.
They will. No, I'm super curious to see where this goes.
So I think the thing is, there's no way to make this work for a proper zombie because you can't hook all this stuff up to the brain while it's still in your skull.
But I think the bigger thing that they are trying to look at here, and it comes back down to the whole idea: can I stop death? This is what the premise is. The premise is
they didn't say that in the
article. I know that, but that is what everyone in this world is seeking.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Not saying you're wrong.
They want to know how to cheat death, and so you've got people like the people down in Arizona.
Yeah, the cryogenesis. This is not going to do the trick, though. We're not there.
No,
the brain does not do well.
Brain doesn't do well doing what?
Can you imagine if somebody re-electrified your brain, but you didn't have any, but it wasn't attached to anything?
So the only
don't think about that. That's really dark.
Honestly, the only reference I could find online, and one of our listeners, Andrew, will appreciate this one, was the show Futurama that had a bunch of heads in jars of past people like Reagan and Nixon and all these famous people, and they were all alive because something like this had happened to them, and they were back alive. So, I mean, is that possible? Could they just keep your head alive in a jar, Tombstone?
Doubtful.
If they can do if they can do a head transplant, though, couldn't they?
I mean, these piggies only lasted 36 hours.
But they were unplugged. They unplugged them after 36 hours.
Oh, they were afraid to keep them going.
Yes, because they were afraid they'd turn into zombie pigs. So no, that brings me to the bigger ethical question of the scientist over in China now who wants to do the head transplant. I mean, he wants to take a head from one body and put it on the body, I guess, of another person.
So wasn't there a guy that had volunteered for this, but he died?
He didn't die. He ended up getting a girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So
the strange thing behind that was she was a looker, and he decided he couldn't live without her. And she apparently thought that he was.
I feel like we need to revisit this topic.
The guy with the head transplant guy.
Yeah. Is he still dating the girl? Is there a hope that this might yet be pulled off? That's my question. I'm not hoping that he breaks up with the girl, but I kind of am.
It's a good question.
I'm just full of dark thoughts tonight. I don't know what my problem is.
I think it's that Monster Energy drink he keeps hammering.
I'm all
so
out.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
all gone.
April 10th was the last I heard about it. I guess March was the last they said anything about it.
Oh, of course, the only article, not the only article on the topic, but the only one with any actual information is from
where?
The Sun.
Ah, there you go.
thesun.co.uk, our favorite
some of these websites are calling this guy Valery Spiridonov, right?
His wife is extremely attractive.
I know.
Like, it's a little bit. I feel like I almost wonder if there's some sort of.
I just read a website.
There's no way. This is not real. There's no way this is real.
I just saw a website. He's a billionaire. This is real.
Oh, he's a billionaire?
I just read on a website that he's a billionaire. I don't know how he's a billionaire.
I'm just noticing there's no pictures with both of them in the picture.
No, I saw a picture with them both in it. I saw a picture with them both in it. They're there. It's true.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
No.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
What's the guy's name?
It's a Russian name. No, I can't pronounce it.
I just saw it here. Spirinov. Not Smirnov.
Oh my gosh. Spiridonov.
Spiridonov, yeah. Spiridonov. There's no that's not a picture with her. That's a picture next to her.
That's what I'm saying.
You may have a point, okay? You may have a point.
I feel like there's some kind of hinky Russian government op going on here.
With the Russians? Now, do you really think the Russians and the Chinese can?
If you looked like that, I would not marry you no matter how much money you had.
So I found the article that we referenced. This was back in December, okay? This was all the way back in December.
Yes.
He moved to Florida with his girlfriend.
To get away from the Russian government.
Maybe.
Did she leave him?
Maybe. And yeah, I'm not seeing any pictures of them together.
I'm telling you, right. Man, there's something weird going on there.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the guy obviously has issues. The guy has a debilitating muscle disease, where he's poor guy.
He's in rough shape.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not cool. But how is he a billionaire though? He's 33 years old and he's a billionaire?
I'm telling you, man, there's something weird going on here.
See, now I need to dig into this. I got to know this.
Okay, I did actually find a picture where he and his wife are in the same frame.
How is he a billionaire though?
Maybe he's really wickedly smart. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
That's the only picture. I'm not saying other pictures don't exist.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
She looks like a very nice woman.
How did we get from
I don't know.
Zombie pigs to zombie humans?
Okay, to speak most directly to your point on the thing, like, is this about cheating death? I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but there's no way. I mean, once your body calls it quits, you're just done. That's just all there is to it. I mean, you can throw electricity, you can throw nutrients, but that's pretty much all you can do. And if you don't come back, you don't come back.
Right. But see, in a world where we think that's all that needs to sustain life, I think that's a bigger existential question.
Well, I think we're all going to be disappointed.
What is life, and how is life sustained?
There is an immaterial aspect to us that makes us what we are.
There you go.
We're not just chemistry.
So Spiridonov, or however you pronounce his name, he's not a billionaire, Tombstone.
Is he a trillionaire? Millionaire?
No. Let me just say he's trying to raise money for the surgery, and he's selling hats, T-shirts, mugs, and iPhone covers. So I'm telling you, man, think he's got any money. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Maybe he spent it all getting her.
Oh man!
Just kill me now.
In the words of Gregorio from the History Channel, Russians.
the sign says that it's 4 quarters for an hour, but a quarter only gets you 15 minutes. So if my math is correct, that's not an hour.
I'm ducking and everything. Guys in the house, I got scared. I dropped my hot pocket.
I gotta ask you, Tombstone.
Yo.
Can a vegan eat a Hot Pocket?
I'm gonna say no. Not. Although I'm on the line because I don't know if there's anything actually recognizable as meat in a Hot Pocket.
I was gonna say.
I mean, it's a meat type substance.
Yeah.
I used to eat pepperoni pizza Hot Pockets all the time.
I like the chicken bacon ones, chicken broccoli bacon ones.
So good. I've never had that one.
Those are really good. And then the regular like pepperoni ones were pretty rocking. It was like single life, man. You knew you'd arrive when you could afford the Hot Pockets.
Oh my goodness, I could afford Hot Pockets. My problem was not that I could afford Hot Pockets, is that I could afford Chick-fil-A. That's why I'm so fat now.
Yeah, I hear you.
You can chart my weight gain to how close my office has been, the different places I've worked, to a Chick-fil-A.
That sounds like a tragedy, Tombstone.
It's a personal problem.
It is.
Show. I'm trying to find the thing we were talking about.
How do you think you do on a vegan diet?
Very poorly.
Maybe
very poorly. You can't fuel a body like mine on water and complex carbohydrates. Can't do it.
See, okay, so that's the thing. I had this conversation with Alyssa the other day.
Tell me more.
Okay. You can peg a vegetarian, like you can tell someone's a vegetarian by just seeing them. I mean,
okay,
I'm
glad you brought that up, because
as if they're not going to tell you.
As if they're not going to tell you.
But you can tell most vegetarians, aside from regular meat eaters,
they're very skinny looking if they're on a consistent vegetarian diet.
And we mean no ill will to our vegetarian brethren.
Well,
who are yes we do.
You don't.
Yes we do. Yes we do.
Well, we just wish
not
you would join the human race the way you were intended to live and eat at least some meat.
In fact, I will throw down the gauntlet, Tombstone, right now.
What's that?
If we have any listeners who are vegetarian, like I gotta have like certifiable evidence that you're a vegetarian, I will buy you a gift certificate to a steakhouse if I can come watch you eat. I want to watch you eat that steak. Just to see the look on your face when you smile.
Hold on to that thought. Remember, people don't go vegetarian because they don't know what a good steak tastes like. They just decided they don't want to eat a good steak. So I don't think it's a lack of experiential issues. I think it's just a decision. But vegetarians, when they get drunk, they eat meat. That's what they do.
I've heard that though.
It's absolutely true, because your inhibitions are lower.
And so you just want to eat meat.
You just want to eat meat. I mean, can you blame them? I say no. Okay, so can we skip to the article in question?
Yes. So we head south of the equator.
Way south. There's a oh my goodness. There's a dude in Australia who doesn't want to eat meat, and he had ended up in prison.
Why? Why did he end up?
Because I'm just going to quote this, because I'm not going to try to explain it freehand this time.
This is a 7news.com AU.
I'm quoting from somewhere else. I don't know where I'm quoting from. It's a website.
That works too.
A vegan activist accused of being the ringleader behind the theft of a $1,500 calf and a dead piglet from West Australian farms says he went hungry in prison because the menus offered no animal-free alternatives.
Okay.
So here's the interesting thing. He was fined for trespassing and live streaming the crime. And he spent 2 days in whatever the Australian equivalent of prison is.
Oh,
I doubt
boy.
It's as harsh as American prison.
He stole a dead pig and a calf.
The picture is very disturbing. So if you look, the picture posted with the article, I assume you have the same picture.
Yes.
There's this dude. So you will note in the picture, he does not look like a vegetarian.
Not really.
Remember what we talked about?
I know. He doesn't quite.
But he's wearing a shirt that says 100% herbivore, which is absurd. He is standing in what looks like a McDonald's.
It is. It looks like they're having they've got the Monopoly challenge going on there.
He is holding a dead piglet in some kind of pillow thing, and it's got flowers on it.
Like a shroud, a burial shroud.
He's got black duct tape over his mouth. The whole thing is a plea. It looks like a cry for help. I'll be honest with you. It's just very strange. The best part is when he asked for different food, they told him some of them said go eat meat and that kind of thing. But he says, the experience I had was nowhere nearly as bad as what animals are going through. They are suffering daily, and I only had to put up with 48 hours in custody.
So
it's wild.
Having spent time and having seen factory farms,
yes.
If I don't need to buy meat from a factory farm, I won't. Like if I can get away with it, I'd rather have my own homegrown meat. Yeah. Some of these factory farms are just nasty, man. But the simple fact is this. These animals coming into the slaughterhouses, USDA certified slaughterhouses, they have to be inspected. The animals have to be inspected. And they have to be walking in under their own power. They've got to be walking in decent condition. If there's an issue with the animal, they don't get slaughtered. They do not get introduced into the human food supply.
Right.
Doesn't happen. Absolutely doesn't happen. But so to his point, I mean, there are some pretty gnarly.
What do you think Australia's regulations for farm animals are stricter or less strict than ours?
Ooh.
I bet they're more strict.
I would say yes and no. I bet in some ways they're more strict, but in some ways they're less strict. And I say that because I would imagine that places out in Western Australia, you can't get you can't get an inspector to the farm.
Right.
I mean, you've literally got, some farms out there with 1 million acres.
Right.
And there's no way you're actually inspecting that thing. They don't do. See, I think that's the irony is that I don't think they're doing as much factory farming in Australia as we do here. And so I think if someone were to make an argument against. So yeah, here's my thing. I guess I can see someone making an argument against factory farming. I can't see them making an argument against meat. Totally.
Right. They're not the same thing. And to conflate the two is just not very smart.
Right. Exactly. So this guy, yeah. I mean, he's 25 years old. He's got a lot to learn in life.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I mean, he's already living in a penal colony.
Technically. Oh, yes. That's harsh. That's very harsh. And he's living in Perth, no less. So.
I joke. I love Australia. I think Australia is an amazing place. If Australia didn't have bad gun laws. But it is entirely
people with criminals.
And you know what? Just saying, if they didn't have the gun laws that they have, I would probably move there.
You can.
Fast.
I'm pretty sure you can still own a boy's anti-tank rifle in Australia.
You can own an awful lot of things. The issue is you got to have a whole lot of, there's a whole lot of loops you got to jump through in order.
Which reminds me, I wonder if there's a forgotten weapons video on the boy's anti-tank rifle. So did you know that in Australia, right after the beginning of World War II, the Australian government bought a bunch of anti-tank rifles in like 46 caliber, and they gave them out to different civilians in Western Australia because if the Japanese landed, they would have small tanks, and then you could kill the tanks with this large anti-tank rifle,
which was a big threat there.
When they came back around to collect the rifles after the war, a lot of them had mysteriously disappeared.
Just weren't there, yeah.
Which is exactly what you would expect on a continent people entirely with criminals,
right?
And some of those same rifles were later employed in culling feral camels in Australia as well.
Interesting. I did not realize
apparently they have a small feral camel problem because camels were introduced at some point in the 20th century.
And when you say feral, you mean feral?
Yeah. Did I pronounce it wrong?
I don't. It just sounded
the problem
funny.
with being homeschooled. Sometimes you don't learn how to pronounce things. Ask Alyssa. She knows. I guarantee you she knows. So
I wasn't homeschooled.
But you read a lot in English, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Have you never mispronounced something that you only read in a book?
Oh no, she.
I'm pretty good at names, actually, and like place names and stuff.
When we got married,
I'm sure I've made mistakes though.
When we got married, her pronunciation on quite a few things was absolutely atrocious.
Well, you mean on place names and stuff? Because I say them the German way.
On place names, but also just some pronunciations of American words that you had never heard.
Yeah, that's possible.
Like it just
okay.
Pronunciations, the way you were pronouncing the word.
Okay,
it was rough. It's okay.
Can you give me an example?
I can't think of them now because you haven't done them in years.
My poor wife, because she was even more homeschooled than I was, routinely mispronounces things that she's never heard people pronounce. So, but I try not to make fun of her for it because
sorry,
she reads
Alyssa.
a lot.
Sorry, Alyssa. I made fun of Alyssa for a lot of those.
Well,
ran her over.
I make fun of Carissa too, but I try not to.
Thump.
I did have a slight accent when I came over.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And we've battled to get rid of that. It was like World War III. So on that note, we're gonna go to break and I'm gonna get in trouble, and then we're gonna come back and we are going to talk about Aunt Becky.
Yay!
Did you ever watch Full House, Tombstone? I think we talked about this before. No, you didn't.
Never saw it.
You're
I don't
probably
even know
better
who Becky
for it.
is.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah?
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff. And it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
This wars off smells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where to go. I want to go. Give me the go. I want to go.
Tombstone, if you had seen it before, you would know Aunt Becky from Full House.
Give me an overview of Aunt Becky.
You'd also know Aunt Becky, otherwise known as Lori Laughlin, from Hallmark, where she plays the mayor of a small town on a show One Calls the Heart.
It was a show?
Yeah.
What was it about?
Some small town where she's the mayor.
You gotta give me more than that, man.
It's a Hallmark show.
Apparently there were 6 seasons of this.
It's a Hallmark show, Tombstone. It's currently on.
I didn't even know Hallmark had shows. I thought it was just
it's a channel.
Christmas movies all year long.
No, it's not. That's a good. That's honestly.
I thought all Hallmark shows is sentimental movies about women, pretty women who marry rich men that already have kids and their wives have died.
The irony is, I think you summed it up very well.
Okay,
that's like.
Can Alyssa confirm on this? Is this Alyssa's opinion as well?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
all right.
great.
See, I've seen. You know how many movies of those I've seen? I've seen 10 minutes of exactly one.
Which movie was it?
I have no idea. I just. Oh. I surmised it. I surmised it. See, I didn't know how to pronounce that one. I surmised it after 10 minutes of viewing, but it was very warm and fuzzy. And if I was a basic Becky, then I would totally drink my hot chocolate and watch it while drinking hot chocolate.
So
on the couch
I remember her
underneath the
from
quilt.
my from the Full House days. And
so what is the premise of for those of us that are not up to speed? What is the premise of Full House?
So Full House was a show with what was his name? What was his name? It was with John Stamos, who was her husband. You had the guy who did America's Funniest Home Videos. Not Pat Sajak, the other guy. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm losing. Bob Saget. So you had Bob Saget, right?
Right.
And he had the two twins, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, right? Then you had a couple other comedians and stuff on there. They all lived together in this big house in San Francisco. And it was all a big happy family, and you learned your life lessons and blah blah blah. It was crazy. I remember watching it as a little kid, watching the reruns in like the 2000s, and I remember Aunt Becky because Aunt Becky was fine. That's all. That's basically all I remember. Tombstone.
This is my shocked face. I would love to see Alyssa's face right now.
Alyssa's just smiling. She's like, well, that was a moment of honesty.
Her and Rachel Ray.
I don't know. I don't really like the felons. So Lori Laughlin ended up she and her husband came up with this scheme. Her husband is Mosimo.
Well, there is a question of whether they came up with it or whether they were entrapped by it. But either way, we know they didn't take the plea deal, so they're going to court.
So they ended up paying $500,000 to get their daughters, Olivia Jade and Isabella Rose.
Since we're having moments of honesty here, do you ever hear about a scam and think, why didn't I have the guts to try and pull that scam off?
I may have thought about that during this one.
Okay, I'm just saying. But I mean, obviously, we don't have the prerequisite conditions.
We didn't have an in with an Ivy League school.
But the people who make that, the problem is the people who are used to making that kind of money in a scam never know when to walk away. I feel like there's an Ocean's 11 quote here that's appropriate. What am I thinking of?
I know which one you're thinking of, but I can't
think of
remember it.
He's like, you got to know when to quit.
Well, that was not too.
Like
Jeff
you remember Saul.
You're right.
He was dating a nice lady that worked in the unmentionables department at Macy's. Like you got to know when to call it quits.
That's wow.
They didn't know when to call it. This guy. Well, the guy who ran the scam didn't know when to call it quits.
Yes.
And Aunt Becky didn't know when to stop shelling out money on a wild goose chase to put her two brats into college.
No, so here's the thing. One of her daughters was really successful on Instagram, which we live in the day of.
I feel like didn't we talk about this a couple weeks ago?
We did a couple weeks ago.
And she's like part of the Kardashian set.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. And so here's the big thing. So $500,000. Apparently, they were funneling money through a nonprofit that they had set up. That's the kicker. So not only is it bribery charges, it's also wire fraud and money laundering,
tax issues. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
They should have taken the plea deal.
They are now facing up to 40 years in prison. And so interesting.
Oh man.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I almost want to make an Irish joke here, and I'm not going to do it.
Don't do it.
I'm going to resist.
Why would you do that? I'm Irish.
No, you're not. You're not anymore. You're not. You're about as Irish. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that.
I'm European mutt.
That's not the same.
Close. I understand.
Anyways,
what's that?
I'm Irish.
Oh, there you go.
Ken is true. Kenny is an Irish name.
That is true. Daughters ended up dropping out of school.
That's the worst part of the whole thing. Is like all this is for nothing.
Well, no. So supposedly they found out and then dropped out of school.
Right.
Like, Mom, how dare you?
Yeah,
so,
whatever. They're going to go on and make zillions of dollars on Instagram. Don't need a college degree.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
You don't need a college degree to be an Instagram smash hit. You just don't.
So do you
It's probably where my life went wrong, because in 2005, there was no Instagram. Otherwise, I'd have just...
You and me both, Tombstone.
I'd have just been a model, and everything would have been fine. I'd have been no sweat.
You and I would have just been shirtless on Instagram.
We could have put up a backdrop in your college dorm room.
I know. We would have made millions.
We made zillions. I don't know. I mean, obviously we couldn't do beauty. I mean, we could have done beauty products, but that would have been weird.
It would have been different, but it would have been ahead of our time.
That would have been even weirder than calling your dorm room the lumber yard.
Did we really do that? I don't remember calling it that, Tombstone.
Yes. At some point, it was called that.
Yes. Was that with Jeff?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Probably. It sounds like something like that.
You remember what the line was, right?
Well, yeah, that's where you found all the studs.
This is where you found studs. Thank you for calling the Gray's Lumberyard. Which stud would you like?
That's right. Oh my goodness.
So for those of you wondering what in the world we're talking about, when we were at college, these rooms, because an actual modern college, you might have your own like private space, and it didn't have that at Bob Jones.
What is privacy?
The privacy did not exist. There were no locks on the doors. It's just a whole different conversation. But so the rooms were really small. You're all crammed in there. And there's like an old school,
up to 5 people in a room.
There's an old school wired telephone set with a manual ringer and everything on the wall. And, if it rang, somebody would pick it up. So I wasn't living in the room, but sometimes the phone was answered. Graves Lumberyard. Which stud would you like?
Yep. We had quite a few lines. We had the Graves Mortuary one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that was good. We had a bunch of them.
Which stiff would you like?
Yeah, which stiff would you like? Yep. I mean, that's an old one.
I'm glad my mother doesn't listen to this one.
Yeah, we made our own.
I called my mother the other day, and I told her I had good news, and she asked me if I was quitting the podcast.
Oh no! What?
So whatever we've done here, we have not impressed my mother. So yeah, we have some work to do.
Oh no! I'm sorry, Mrs. Graves.
I apologize. You need to write her a note on that fancy stationery you have.
I really need to.
What were we talking about? Aunt Becky.
We were talking about Aunt Becky.
All this from an aborted Irish joke.
Do you think your mom watches Hallmark?
No, I don't think she does. My mom, all she does is watch Fox News. She doesn't watch anything else.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
She has her office, and she has a television on in the corner, and that television is never turned off.
Interesting. 24/7 or just like during the day?
I mean, whenever she's in the room, it's on.
Gotcha.
So I can't work like that. I can't work with that kind of background noise.
I can't work without that type of background noise.
I don't even have cable. I don't have any way to watch.
I don't either. I mean, I don't know.
I have Netflix, and I have the Grand Tour, and that's all I need. And I don't even think I need Netflix.
Tombstone, did you watch the last episode yet?
I haven't seen it. I'm actually like 3 behind. I skipped ahead, watched Mongolia, and then went back. So because I really wanted to watch Mongolia. And by the way, I'm not sorry I skipped, because it was amazing.
Mongolia was an amazing.
It was great. It was one of the best ones they've ever done. I think it's
beautiful.
It's second. It's really only second to the original Africa special from 2006 or whenever it was.
That was an excellent one. No, the Mongolia special was just beautiful.
So again, those of you trying to keep up, the Grand Tour on Amazon, definitely worth watching.
Oh, without doubt.
And they go interesting places with interesting cars.
They do. The one in Mongolia they had to build.
So all right, so pivoting back real quick. So Aunt Becky, do you think she'll skate, or do you think she'll get some actual jail time, or do you think she'll just get fined a ton?
As of right now, I think she's going to have to go for a jury trial and be like acquitted.
You think she'll get Martha Stewarted?
Like 2 years,
like 2 years prison. Well, I think she was in there for like 5 or 6 months, but
was she? Okay, 5 or 6 months in a country club prison.
Yeah. I don't think there is such a thing as a country club prison.
I don't think so either. I think people like to talk about it, but I don't think it actually happens. No, that honestly is $1 million question, or a $500,000 question, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I think she's navigating for an acquittal by jury right now.
I mean, on the face of it, it looks really bad. Like, unless there's something that we haven't heard, which is entirely possible.
Right.
Yeah, some of the interest in this case is weird because this is a completely nonpartisan case. Like, everybody's on board with hating Aunt Becky because she's like a symbol of the age. Right. But she's like a symbol of the age because she's, a wealthy white woman, and she's done something that she was clearly not supposed to do. So everybody can like guilt-free pile on, and nobody feels like they have to stick up for her.
Yeah.
Except for me, I stick up for wealthy white women just because I'm contrary.
If you weren't married, I
would stick up for Bruce Jenner if I had to. No, sir.
Wealthy white ladies.
Yes. My mother and I were talking about this after all this happened.
After
I can't
she
even
asked
remember
to leave the podcast.
what's his. Yeah, no, this is a long time. Like,
okay,
what's her female? What's his female name? I can't even remember.
Caitlin,
yeah, call me Caitlin. Like, we were talking about this because remember he did an interview like after Trump was elected, or it did an interview after Trump was elected, talking about how it voted Republican, and my mom said, "Of course she did. She's a wealthy old white lady." I was like, "Thanks, Mom." That's why I love my mother.
You didn't realize that is now going to be the title of the show, right?
We're all slaves to demographics in this country now.
Wealthy white women.
I like it. I like it.
So,
the meat cake.
The meat cake.
No, let's go back to the Marie Antoinette reference.
Oh, yeah, let them eat cake. I think that's a good title too. No, I think that Lori Laughlin's trying to get acquitted by the jury.
I have to say, I don't know. Again, I don't know if she's being dumb or if she's just Irish. Oh man, didn't even mean to do that. But she's is Alyssa making a face.
Oh my word, Tombstone.
I was trying to say I don't know if she's being dumb or stubborn. That's what I was trying to say. I didn't mean that wasn't actually supposed to be an Irish joke.
But it was.
But I appreciate on some level that she's sticking to her guns and she's going to take it to court. I get that. I'm not saying I would do it, but I also don't have zillions of dollars in my bank account to do it with.
But if you're that guilty, and the question is, does she have zillions of dollars? I mean, I don't know. Her husband.
I mean, if she paid out money, if she paid out $500,000 just to get her brats into college, who then subsequently quit college, I would say she's probably got it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, $1 million question. I just don't know.
$500 question.
Wow.
$500,000 question. Pardon me.
Interesting.
Yep.
Now, so I'm reading here on his company here, right?
Mm-hmm. But my guess was she brought the money into the marriage because she's been doing television for so long.
I mean, he's a fashion designer, man. Question is how wealthy is he? I'm trying to figure that out here, and I don't see it. He so his company there tumbled. Good grief. Like, he lost a lot of money when shares in his company tumbled from $50 down to $4 a share.
How would a fashion company's stock ever get up to $50 a share?
Apparently they tried and failed to take a shortcut from streetwear / beachwear to high fashion.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently that should be something that we don't do. We should not go from streetwear to high fashion. It will not do well for your company. So yeah, I back to the topic. I don't have a clue. I think she's going to get the book thrown at her. I think she's going to get off though by a jury.
I really think there's a possibility she gets Martha Stewarted because she has made herself easy to make an example of because she has not kept her head down. She's the nail sticking up that's going to get.
So here's the thing though, is that who's the woman who's being charged with her? Felicity Huffman.
Yeah.
Felicity Huffman is the one who who was on Desperate Housewives or something, and she's the one who
my eyes have rolled into the back of my head.
I know. Keep them rolling. She's going to get like 2 or 3 months anyways, and she plead out. She's got major fines, and she's probably going to get some time.
Yeah.
So I think, if anything, if Lori Laughlin is found guilty, which she is guilty,
allegedly, Aaron,
you know, I mean, everyone says she's guilty, and the people who paid who she paid.
She appears guilty. Just roll with it.
I hear you, but court of public opinion here. No, I think she's trying to get a sympathetic juror, but you know, her kids aren't going to talk to her. That's for sure. They're not very happy with her right now. The question is, look, I want to know this. Do you think the kids didn't know anything?
I have no idea. I really don't. I just don't know how any of that works.
Is it plausible deniability? Or is
I really couldn't say. I really could not say. I don't want to speculate because it's an important thing to speculate on, not speculate on.
What? Yeah. Okay, I hear you. I guess I'm just curious. I'm curious if the kid, you know, knew. That'd be a crazy thing. I guess from the story though, how would the kid not know when they got put on the university's rowing team and neither has ever rowed in their life?
That's okay. That does beg the question. You're right.
I mean, I don't know, but no, I think it leads to a lot of questions. I mean, the other problem is they're adults. The kids are adults. Is there a statute of limitations on something like that for them? Like, could they be charged with this? With fraud?
I don't know. I'm guessing it was a don't ask, don't tell, but I really don't know.
Yeah, but so here's the question. You're on a rowing team, right? Rowing teams are kind of a big deal at some of these universities.
Yes.
You see that this girl is on the rowing team, but with a full scholarship.
I know.
And never has. And
one of them was on a soccer team too, right? She wasn't that good at soccer.
I think that was Huffman's kids.
That was okay.
I thought so.
I couldn't remember.
But it's just something to thank you with the whole thing. We'll see as it unfolds.
We'll probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
Tombstone.
We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Kind of like my day today.
Free ponies for all Americans, one of the overlooked issues in America today.
Truly is.
If you get a pony, we're going to have to rename this show the Pony Express.
The Pony Express. I'm trying to open an article here and it's not opening. I don't know why. Oh, it's sponsored content. No wonder why. All right, never mind. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We're at the end of the show. Last segment. Jeff sent me an article earlier this week and said, this is crazy awesome. Let's talk about this on the show. And then he doesn't show up. So I'm just saying.
That's so like Jeff. I feel like this is not the first time this has happened.
No. One of those things, as I said earlier, when you get called away to work, you know, it just happens. So on Monday, Israeli scientists unveiled the first ever 3D printed human heart.
Now, are these the same Israelis that claimed to have cured cancer 2 months ago?
Or the same ones who didn't land on the moon the other day?
Well, at least they were in the neighborhood of the moon. We got to give credit where credit is due.
That's true. I'm not going to pick on them too hard for that. If folks haven't heard, they launched a spaceship to the moon. They would have become the fourth country to ever land on the moon with a spacecraft, and unfortunately it blew up on entry to the moon, or to landing on the moon. But no, so this is a 3D printed heart with cells, vessels, ventricles, and chambers. Unfortunately, they've printed 3D hearts in the past, the structure, but they haven't been able to do the vessels or anything. And so the attempt and what they seek to accomplish by this eventually is that they could 3D print organs for transplant eventually, which is super cool, especially when a lot of people need transplants. And transplant lists are really long nowadays. And so they are thinking that in the future they'll be able to print a heart of any size. And here's the thing, from the tissue of the patients themselves, meaning that the body will not reject it, which is super cool, because I believe that's one of the major costs in a transplant nowadays, is that the anti-rejection drugs that people get put on.
Right.
And that's a big fear anyways, the rejection. Is that, a couple years later after getting a transplant, all of a sudden your body doesn't want that organ anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a gnarly thing. But I thought that was kind of crazy. So I guess what they did is they took these cells and they were able to make this gel that they were able to print, like cellular gel that they were able to print these organs, this little heart with. And so obviously they still need to teach it how to beat and pump like human hearts. That's going to take a little bit of work, but they think that printing a human heart, they can reduce the time down to a day, a full-size human heart. And they're hoping that within the next decade that there's going to be organ printers in the finest hospitals around the world, and that they'll be doing this as a part of routine maintenance on human bodies.
I'm mostly interested in what the substances they're using to do it.
Well, they're using the cells, and what they're doing is they are reprogramming these cells to be what's called pluripotent stem cells.
And I wonder how durable it is. Like
how long?
I guess if it's it's fully functional, then it should be. I mean, I would hope you can replenish it. Just like any other part of the body.
So yeah, those stem cells are basically the master cells. They can turn, I guess, into any cells.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're able to I guess, how does that work? There's three primary groups of cells that form a human being. The ectoderm, which is the skin and the nervous system, the endoderm, which is the gastrointestinal, respiratory, endocrine, liver, and pancreas, and the mesoderm, which is the bones, the cartilage, and the circulatory system.
Right.
What they end up doing is they use these cells to basically become the heart cells. But they're just, so I guess what they're doing is they're printing this heart as these pluripotent cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which then, as the body takes them over, ends up turning into the cells that they need to be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's like science voodoo.
That's
man.
way above my knowledge, but I'm incredibly interested to see where it goes.
I hope I summarized that in an easy to package understandable form. Couple things I wanted to hit real quick as we closed out. Notre Dame, man, last Monday, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's crazy. I mean, we're not going to cover it.
Thankfully, not nearly as bad as it looked at first, because it looked really awful. I mean, it's still a big deal, but not as bad as we thought while it was going on.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, it looked
hurt.
really bad. Those pictures that were coming out of Paris were just absolutely incredible. And then The other thing, Monday seemed to be a busy day. Monday, Tuesday seemed to be busy days. Julian Assange was arrested.
Yes.
That's kind of a big deal. I hope next week we have a little bit more time.
So he
to
is
talk
not
about that.
he's not in the United States yet, right? But presumably they're working on extraditing him.
That's a good question. I mean, the UK went in and did our bidding and captured him.
Well, he still had an open warrant in the UK. He
Did
still
he?
had something. Yeah, he had something out there. I forget
So,
what it was.
Are we
Maybe
attempting
evading
to extradite him
arrest
right now?
or something like that. I don't know.
Are you favorable to Julian Assange?
The person, no.
Okay.
No,
I would agree with that.
I don't think he's a very good person.
From the standpoint of his revelations on WikiLeaks, what do you think?
I don't think he was a necessary conduit. I think for whoever wanted that information to get out, he was simply their best option. I don't think he can necessarily take any credit for it.
He certainly created the. He's certainly taken the vitriol of the U.S. government and world governments for this.
Yep.
Did I tell you? Speaking of getting vitriol of governments, did I tell you I watched the Panama Papers documentary the other day?
How was it?
I had never investigated that at all. It was fascinating. So the Panama Papers just I don't even want to really get into it. There was a law firm down in Panama which basically handled all the clandestine and illegal monetary and business movements of world leaders and the rich and famous.
Right.
And so this someone hacked the law firm or stole information from the law firm, sent it to, was it The Guardian? I think it was The Guardian.
Right.
Because that's why Edward Snowden reached out to them as well. And they were able to compile all that data, put it in, I guess, manageable form to where they could research it and figure out what was in it, and then start producing papers and stories based upon it. It was fascinating, Tombstone. Check it out if you get a chance.
I'll check it out.
But hey, we've reached the end of the show, Tombstone. Check us out on the web, www.thefrontporchshow.com. You can check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. We'll be there
and we'll
all
be
week
back
long.
Next week.
In the words of the Terminator, I'll be back.